Dr. Suzanne Packer is the 2019 Senior Australian of the Year, recognised for her work advocating for children's rights. Following yesterday's accolade, here's Sue from Canberra.
It still doesn't feel quite real. It's a great honour. I am delighted, and I hope I can use it to children's benefit this year.
You started your career as a paediatrician back in the 1970s. What sparked your desire for advocacy? What made you think, I'm going to stand up and fight for these kids?
Well, that came on more gradually, except in retrospect, I think even as a child I was interested in the way that grown-ups treated children. I can still remember some adults are very patronising to children and other adults can be quite humiliating, and I don't think they always notice. I certainly remember being aware of this as a child and decided I wasn't going to do that when I grew up. And maybe it then sort of struck a chord when I was working with children all the time, and particularly seeing children who were being abused and neglected and having very horrible experiences. And you just can't sit by and let it happen. And it's a more complex problem than most people want to think about, and I think it's important to try and work out what we can do, especially to prevent it happening, but then when it does happen, to deal with it as well as we possibly can.
In your speech after receiving the award, you spoke about when plans go wrong for the children, we often blame the child, and we need to remember that the adults are drivers for the world our children experience. And you also spoke about needing to notice children and be curious about their lives. What did you mean by that?
I think noticing and being curious is what it says. I mean, we tend to make assumptions that children are having a lovely time playing, and we get cross if they're watching their devices too much and tell them to get up and move. But we basically think they're having a fine, lazy, unstressful time, unlike the adults. But the children, for their survival, need to be in tune with the adults, and they pick up a lot of vibes from adults. And I think a lot of children spend quite a lot of time feeling quite anxious and we don't notice. They certainly feel not listened to, and this is reflected in their behaviour, but we blame them for the behaviour without really being curious about what might lie behind it. And I think it's very helpful each day to think, what has this day been like from the child's perspective, and to get good at actually chatting to kids about what's the loveliest things happened today, anything scary happened. You can find out so much from having a chat to children about what their world is like.
Often we talk about people raising children and saying that it takes a village. Do you think that's right? And what does that village, or what should that village look like?
And I think it's very, very, very much right, and I think it's something we're challenging. Again, the way the adults live, and this is what's determining what happens for children, that you just don't see children as much. You see, I've thought of that in the school holidays. You look out, and in the past you'd see groups of children, even mobs of children out in the streets and playing. You almost never see this now. Many children spend their holidays in holiday camps of varying sorts, or if they do go out, it's one or two families going on an outing together. And the children just don't have this time to be a member of the community. I mean, we don't always like it when our neighbours tell the kids to behave, but it shows that other people are watching your child is learning from other people, and we don't have nearly as many of these spontaneous experiences we used to have. I think we need to reinvent the village a little bit. Yeah.
You now have a new platform after receiving this award. Have you thought about how you'd like to use that platform?
I'm beginning to think about it. I haven't had a lot of time yet, but it's I think it can be very useful. I think if anything else, I just really would love Australia to be a place that not only had fine children, but really valued having these fine children and was looking at ways to help these children benefit as much from their childhood experiences to become the best adults they could. And I think we're squandering some of this at the moment by not valuing children and not noticing them as much as we should.
It's Dr. Sue Packer there, the Senior Australian of the Year. Some very wise words there. Congratulations to her. Now, in a